I've got a very quick bone to pick with James Cameron, in which he does his own analysis of why he thinks Terminator Dark Fate failed. Sorry,
Do you think that his analysis is genuine, or
I think,
do you think there are other reasons he didn't mention?
I think it's possible that he just doesn't get it. So I'm going to read what he says here. So they talk about Terminator Dark Fate, a film that Cameron did not direct, but produced and collaborated on the story. They made a big deal about this. They're like, James, the best Terminator since Terminator 2. Well, that's not saying much, because Terminator Genisys, Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles were fine, but that was a TV show. Terminator 3, Christina Loken, whatever, people have their opinions on these things, but being the best film since Terminator 2 didn't really mean that much to most people. Mm-hmm. So it says, this is his observation, James Cameron's observation. He says, I think the problem, and I'm going to wear this one, is that I refuse to do it without Arnold Schwarzenegger, he explains. Director Tim Miller, he didn't want Arnold, but I said, I don't want that. Arnold and I have been friends for 40 years, and I could hear it, and I would go like this. Jim, I can't believe you're making a Terminator. He would say, I can't believe you're making a Terminator movie without me. And then he says, it just didn't mean that much to me, but I said, if you guys could see the way clear to bringing Arnold back, then, I'd be happy to be involved. So he kind of held his involvement hostage until they brought Arnold into the movie. And then he talks about how they brought Linda Hamilton in, and he goes, it's not even your dad's Terminator movie. It's your granddad's Terminator movie. Here's the problem. That has nothing to do with the movie's problems. They also, even this article hilariously calls him ageist.
Yeah, they said ageism was the real problem. That's not what he was saying.
I'm going to tell you the real problem. Spoiler alert, you killed John Connor in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Not only did you kill John Connor in the first 5 minutes of the movie, you made Sarah Connor bitter about motherhood. Like, the whole purpose of the first movie, of her role, is to be a caregiver, a protector of her son. Not only that, Tim Miller was going around calling everyone man babies, because all of the strong, independent women in the movie were going to make them feel insecure about who they were. You replaced the traditionally male chosen one in John Connor with a diverse Latina character, a diverse Latina female character who had the charisma of Wood, like particularly like bad, not even good Wood, bad Wood. She's like maybe 18 years old, looked like she was 14. You hear her give a speech trying to rouse everyone into action. Worse than Bronwyn's in the Rings of Power. Worse than Bronwyn's in the Rings of Power. He admits that the script wasn't where it should be. I read that earlier in a different article. He's like, look, the script wasn't where it should be. We went forward with it. Why would you do that? Also, he had conflicting visions with Tim Miller. It didn't make sense. Nobody wanted this movie. You nerfed Arnold. They turned him into a cuck. They cucked the Terminator. The actual Arnold Terminator retires and lives a sexless life with a woman. He can't have sex with women because he's a Terminator. He weighs like a gazillion pounds. You can't do that. All of these things, there's no way you watch this as somebody who understood why the first two movies worked, who watched this. I'm picturing them like in their big theater previewing the movie before it comes out. You can't watch all of this stuff and expect it to do good. There's even border commentary. Southern border commentary, because
I haven't seen this movie, and I don't think I will.
Because they have to sneak over the border, and he also thinks that Arnold was the problem. No, how you used him was the problem, and blaming ageism is maybe one of the most ridiculous takes I've ever heard.
Intellectually dishonest.
Everything about,
and again, it's blaming the audience.
Everything about the movie didn't work. Like, you could have theoretically done this without Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't think that that's a good idea, but if you're going to include him, he needs to be the Terminator. Like, they didn't really, I don't remember, did they use him in Sarah Connor Chronicles? I don't think he shows up in Sarah Connor Chronicles. It's just the regular cast. And the guy who played the Terminator in this movie, I don't even remember the character's name. He's just boring. He's not like, you can picture Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Buff, extremely tall, hyper masculine. The guy who plays the Terminator in this is just like a normal, like, he looks like you'd see him out at the mall shopping for his kids.
He looks like he plays Ultimate Frisbee on the weekends.
If Ultimate Frisbee was extremely boring, yes, he looks like he would play an extremely boring game of Ultimate Frisbee. And Linda Hamilton is like 60 years old, dude. Like Arnold in his 70s is already a stretch. Linda Hamilton in her 60s trying to look badass is just laughable. It's not funny. It's not cool. Nobody wanted this. It didn't turn out right. It's just funny how
Don't you think the endeavor of bringing this franchise back when the generation that loved it is already, again, like up in that age range,
yes,
was kind of a misguided plan to begin with?
Also, it's really funny here because I found this article that says that James Cameron talks about the pregnant character in the Way of Water. Is it The Way of Water? We're going
it's
to see
The Way of Water.
So he talks about, everyone's talking about, now I'm moving on just to this guy. So he's talking about, this is James Cameron again now talking about a character in The Way of Water. He says, everyone is talking about female empowerment, Cameron told Robert Rodriguez in Variety's Directors on Directors series. But what is such a big part of a woman's life that we as men don't experience?
You're going to get canceled for this one.
And I thought, protection of children, they talk about it as if it's a burden in the movie, like that her taking care of John.
And she doesn't have any character arc where she realizes that she was wrong to think that?
No.
Wow.
It's bad. It's really bad. Tim, and that's on top of Tim Miller, who then goes on to talk about how he was traumatized because the movie didn't do well. Guys,
stage it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it just boggles my mind.
Another thing James Cameron said about this pregnant character, he said, it doesn't happen in our society. Probably hasn't happened for hundreds of years, but I guarantee you back in the day, women had to fight for survival and to protect their children. And it didn't matter if they were pregnant. Pregnant women are more capable of being a lot more athletic than we as a culture acknowledge.
Yep.
I thought, let's take the real boundaries off. To me, it was the last bastion that you don't see.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Yep.
First of all, he's going to get canceled by a certain crowd for saying that what differentiates women from men is the capability to be pregnant.
He's 60 something. He's fine.
Is he going to get the? Yeah, he gets a free pass because he's old. So then, secondly, I don't know if representing pregnant women only in contexts where it's shocking that they're pregnant is what we're going for when it comes to like portraying female empowerment.
And it's also
a weird impulse. Pregnant women are not men. Women are not men.
It was my problem with Prey, right? The whole problem with Prey was I felt like she should have stayed at the village and protected the village. That it made no sense that she literally got everybody killed.
Why is it only badass to be a mom when you're doing something that moms don't traditionally do?
Or even that my number one theory is like what they should have done is aged up that character, made her a mother, and like have her like the predator lures all the men away from from their encampment, and then she has to protect them, the rest of the elders and the women from the predator while in the encampment, and have her struggle a lot. That's a great story. Like, I didn't like the one that they told in that movie, but it's like they don't have, like, maybe what they need to do is like hire like a token conservative woman like hire a Fox News lady to come in and be like, well, I don't know about that. Like, I mean, I'd rather protect my kids. Like, there's a comedian, a stand-up comedian, he goes, guys, I'm not trying to be political. It's like, but if I'm a liberal guy, what you should do is, if you're going to have kids, marry a conservative woman, because they actually want to stay home with the kid.
And they want to have kids. To begin with.
So it's like, what it is like, it's really funny to watch a guy who literally made the first two movies, so he should understand it so intimately that the reason that it didn't work should be plainly obvious to him, but it's clearly not.
This point he made, I actually really like. He said Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, all these other amazing women come up, but they're not moms and they're not pregnant while they're fighting evil.
Yep.
I think it is interesting that he took this angle.
Yeah.
And there should be more mothers portrayed in media in a positive light, not in a light where they're burdened by having children or they're abandoned by the fathers of those children.
Yep.
And somehow held back in life, put on pause, and put upon for their capability to create life. And I agree with that totally.
And it's funny because you could pivot to this right now and everyone would be on board. Like, yeah, they're like, until you prove it in the movie that you're not making it that you're not tokenizing the characters and that you're actually going to follow through on good stories about what makes women powerful. Like, you can do that. You just don't have the inclination to do so, nor are you your industry isn't filled with any women who have that life experience.
Yeah.
That isn't their world.
So they don't understand it, and they don't believe that it is valuable enough to show on screen. Or you see all of these headlines from celebrity women in their 40s talking about their IVF journey. Because earlier in their career, they were told that if you have children, you're not marketable anymore, and basically you're worthless.
And it's funny too, because in a lot of those stories about the painful journey, because it was a lot of work.
Yes,
and it's expensive.
it's unnecessary that this is being inflicted on women, almost like this conception that, having children makes you less of a woman. That's insane. Well, it's such a deep-seated lie, and it's coming directly from propaganda in Hollywood as well. I
just don't know where they go, because I just can't see them. Like, is the idea here that like we just lean it? Maybe the men starved for stories about actual strong women start watching Jane Austen adaptations or like some type. You know what I'm saying? Like
maybe
they have to they're like, look, I just want to watch movies about strong women, but I don't really buy that she's a Navy SEAL. I'm sorry. She's like 4 feet tall. I'm not sure if that's what happens here.
Well, I can't imagine that a movie like Avatar 2, which people already worry going to have a very strong theme of misanthropy, basically, like hating humanity, being anti-humanity. How can it really be pro-woman? How can it be pro-mothers when the only ones you're willing to portray as mothers are Na'vi?
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.